Assalamualaikum guys, what's up? In this video we are going to discuss about the colliders, that what are the concepts behind them and why they are being used. But before that, if you are new to game development or a beginner of Unity, go and check out my previous videos to become a pro. Okay, without any further ado, let's get started with the colliders. The first question that is frequently asked is, why we use colliders? The answer to this question is, to navigate among the objects. For example, if one object wants to interact with the other object, it must have colliders attached with it. It's just like a touching sense in human bodies that when they interact, they sense each other. Alright, next question is, where are the colliders and what type of colliders exist in Unity? To check out the answer of this question, first open Unity project. In Unity, import any scene or create any scene. I imported this scene that I downloaded from Asset Store. You can also download at your own. Now to find the colliders in Unity, go to Components and Physics. These are the colliders present in Unity, from box to terrain, and many other features are also including. Now make sure what is component. The component is actually the property that is added into the inspector to any of the game object. Okay. So let's work on the colliders, that what is the purpose of all the colliders respectively and where we can use them in Unity. The box collider is of rectangular or square shape, so it is applied on square type of shapes like this house basement, and the wheel collider is of circular shape, so it is used to apply on the car wheels. Especially in the car racing games, it is very useful. Unity offers many built-in colliders on various objects that we are using. For example, the game object and the cube. Double click on the cube to find out. When you add a cube into your scene, you can see in the inspector that the box collider feature is already added to it. When you add a sphere, it's have a sphere collider, and when you add a cylinder, it have a capsule collider. The difference between all these colliders is actually only the shape or some property features, but generally they perform the same task to navigate or identify the collisions. So let's delete all these objects that we added and practice the colliders at our own and discuss their features in Unity. So let's start with the box collider. For box collider, I selected this building number 1. To apply the collider on it, select the building, go to Components, Physics, and add the box collider on it. As you can see, this green line is actually shows your colliders. When you add the box collider, the component named as box collider is also added into the inspector of building 1. Now let's discuss about the properties of the box collider. If you want to edit its parameters, you just need to click a single button, that is the edit collider. When you click on this button, hold the Alt key and rotate your view a little bit. When you click this edit button, you can see these 3 buttons. These buttons will actually control the parameter values of x-axis, z-axis, or y-axis. Just hold and drag that button in either direction you want to change the collider. Now for me, this collider is enough for height and for width too. I'm just okay. When you have done, just click that button to switch off. It's a toggle button. If you click it, it's on, and when you click back, it gets off. The second button is the is trigger. When you check this button, it means you can pass through this collider, and if it's not checked, it means it's a hurdle. You cannot pass through it. Let's understand it with an example. Let's add the first person controller into the scene to check that either it can pass through this collider or not on runtime. So I didn't import the standard assets yet. To import the characters, go to Assets, Import Package, and Character. It will take 1 to 2 minutes to import. Once it's done, click on Import button. Okay, the character has been imported. Go to Assets, Characters, First Person Controller, Prefabs, and drag and drop the FPS controller from project to the hierarchy. The FPS controller have been added. Just focus the FPS controller, go to Game Object, and set Align with the view. It will set along your view. and I'm just scaling it to 10. Make sure your player must be on terrain, not below it, otherwise it's fall down. Just click on FPS controller and rotate the view. Done. Click on the building 1. Its trigger is off. It means that the player, your first person controller, cannot pass through this collider. Okay, let's switch the view from tall to 2x3 and click on the building. Okay, once everything is done, click on the FPS controller to keep an eye on its movement and run your project. Now you can see the player can move all around. Now press W key to move forward, A to left, D to right, and S to backward, or you can also use the arrow keys to move forward, backward, left, right. If you just play the play mode on and your player is not moving, just go to the mobile input and click on the disable button to disable it, because we are going to test onto the PC. Let's play it. Let's move forward. And here you can see I am pressing my forward button. In front of me there is a collider, so I cannot pass through it. Stop the debugging mode by pressing Ctrl P. Okay, now just select the building and check this trigger button. Make sure that this must be enabled, and now just play the game and watch the show. I'm just moving forward. And you can see the player is actually moving from the house. So I hope you get understanding that why we are using colliders and what is the purpose of its trigger function. You can also change the position and the movement of the collider using this box collider center and size button. Let's say using the mouse, by changing the values, its position is changing, and from this value you can also change the size of the collider. So that's it for the box collider. Now our next discussion is going to be about the sphere colliders. For sphere collider, I selected this car or vanity van, whatever you can say. Now I am going to add the sphere collider on their spherical shape. However, there are also wheel colliders for especially wheels of any car or motorbike. Go to components and physics and add the sphere collider on it. The sphere is added actually on the complete object. The sphere colliders are actually used to add on the balls or any other circular shape having 360 angles. The same parameters are also into the sphere collider. The first button is actually used to edit the collider's shape. His trigger is the same button, and the material, we have already discussed about the materials in another video, so you can watch that out. So you can also change the position of the circle. Rather than the option of the size, as in the box collider, it has the radius value which can be changed. I set 12, so the sphere becomes smaller, and you can also set the position. The next collider I am going to discuss is the Capsule Collider that also attached with the FPS controller. So to add the collider, just select this water tank. Go to components, physics. It is actually used for all those shapes that are containing radius but also the height. So let's discuss its properties. The first button is actually used to edit its width, its height, or its length. The second is the is trigger that I already discussed. And if you checked it on, you can pass through it. If you're not, you can't pass through it. And with these features, you can also change the position of the capsule collider. And as I was discussing, that it is actually used for those objects that having the radius along with the height. So you can also adjust its width by changing the radius, and also change its height by changing these height values. Okay, you can adjust these values from the edit collider or from the radius and height changing values. And the direction can be x-axis for horizontal capsule colliders, y-axis for vertical. For now I am just going to be its y-axis. Alright, the next collider I am going to discuss is the wheel collider that is usually designed for specific type of wheels. I am just disable this component sphere collider on from the Karma, and I am going to add a wheel collider. Now here are the properties of the wheel collider that are actually used. So if you are going to design any of the car controls, of course your car must have colliders, otherwise any object can pass through it. You can also play around with these options. Right now I am just discussing its major parts, that is the mass that we are playing with, to stable our car, the radius to increase or decrease the size, centers to adjust its position or points, force app points, and suspension distance, that is a crease distance between them. The next type of collider we are going to discuss is the terrain collider. Now whenever you are trying to add any terrain or a sphere, it must contain the terrain collider. If you just disable this collider and play your game, every object on the collider is just going to be fall. It's the same as you are standing on the earth with collider, or You are floating in the sea without collider. I hope you grab the concepts quite effectively. So just on the Terrain colliders, the last collider is about the mesh collider. The mesh collider is actually used to apply on the complex shapes where you cannot use any other collider, but make sure that to avoid the mesh collider more as you can, because it uses more resources of your system, so your game can be slowed down or can be lagged. Use mesh colliders wherever it's needed. That's the end of colliders in today's video. In the next video, we are going to discuss about the rigid body and the gravity effects. So stay tuned, like, share and comment in this video, and make sure to subscribe the channel. Till next time, Assalamu alaikum and Allah Hafiz.